All set. Good evening. Welcome to the July 7th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. This open meeting of the Town of Auburn Select Board is being conducted both in person and remotely, consistent with Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, which suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed to participate remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For the public to join the meeting remotely by telephone, 1-408-650-3123 and access code 235-235-861. Or the public can join via computer at global.gotomeeting.com, join 235-235-861. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Please note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. Now, why don't we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our first order of business is public comments. And Brian McCracken, you have signed up? Yep, sure. Come right up to the podium, please, there. And just make sure to state your name. I'll give that to you.
It's on already. My name is Brian McCracken.
You can have a seat there, please.
I said, my name is Brian McCracken. This is my first time here. I've lived in Auburn, 4 years now, approximately. I've lived in Sturbridge before. But anyways, I'm here to represent some friends of mine and relatives, distant relatives who live in Penrose apartment housing on 3 Vine Avenue in Auburn. And I understand Penrose has 2. Mary D. School is one of them. And the 3 Vine is actually 2 buildings, the old school and the newer one that they just built.
Yep.
And I visit there quite often because I have a lot of friends. And I don't live there, but I've been visiting them. But well, ever since they allowed people. My friend is one of the first or second ones that moved in there, so she's been there for quite a while. And I just see such deplorable conditions in that building. When it first opened up, there was a lot of issues, and some of them haven't even been corrected today. The electric bills, my friend was getting electric bills, $300, $400, $500 a month. I told him, I have a house. I don't have electric bills that high. She kept complaining to the people, National Grid, and National Grid said, we read your meter. And that's all they would tell her. This went on for months. Finally, one of the representatives, Kate, she quit after a while. She was getting annoyed. Anyways, she took a picture of the meter that was supposedly her meter. Come to find out it wasn't. We also found out there was numerous people weren't even paying electric bills at all. I says, you're paying for somebody else that's below you. I was told, when the fire department was here, that the fire department came in and rearranged the numbering of the floors, and that's what screwed that up. That finally got straightened out. And then it was air conditioning and heat. They got the, what do you call them, heat pumps in the walls. They're not efficient in New England, as far as I'm concerned. And so many of them at that building don't work. They don't work. The air conditioners don't work, or they leak if they do turn them on. People below are getting their walls ruined, pictures that are ruined. There was one lady who was, I guess you want to call her complaining. She called up the office and said it's 104 degrees here. She has asthma. She kept pumping and pumping and pumping. because her air conditioner didn't work. She was told, well, we don't have parts. And stop complaining. We'll do what we can do, what we can. Didn't do anything for her, didn't provide her fans, oscillating fans, nothing, just basically stop complaining. I don't know if her air conditioner's working, and that's just one. I'm talking 6, 8, 10 people with these air conditioners and the heat combined. In the wintertime, there was people freezing their butts off because the heaters didn't work. They try to complain. They're worried about being evicted because several people, look into it, this is the truth, several people have been evicted. There's one that was a veteran. I know him. He was evicted because you lied on how much money you made. He didn't. It was in his paperwork. They didn't overlooked it or whatever the hell they did. It was in his papers. He showed me.
Yeah.
He says, I can't fight it. I don't have the money to fight it. He got evicted. He was a veteran. And he lived there because of low income. There's a guy on the 3rd floor. I don't know how this town allows a building 3 stories up with handicapped people in wheelchairs. Electricity goes out, the elevators don't work. I was told, well, the fire department knows which ones are which, and they'll be the first ones to evacuate. Well, you got quite a few of them up there, either in walkers, wheelchairs, on the 3rd floor. There was another room, a lady, she has one hand. She has 2 hands, but only one operates. She's in a wheelchair on the 3rd floor. She can't open her door. She has to somehow kick it open because they're sprung. You open it up, it automatically comes back. So she's got a key, and she's trying to unlock it and push the door with her wheelchair. And this went on for months, trying to get out of it. She had a hell of a time getting out of her apartment. Again, fire or something like that, she's not getting out. They finally decided they're going to put one of the touchpads on there. That took a month and a half, 2 months. They do a little bit, a week, 2 weeks go by, they come back and do a little bit more. Oh, we don't have the parts. And these heat exchangers, I keep going over that, but it's just mind-boggling. 104 degrees and people can't get air conditioning. They're paying rent. It's just mind-boggling. And I wrote down some other stuff too. Oh, in the wintertime, the road out there, they do a terrible job plowing, sanding. The walkway is all ice. People are slipping. And the other thing is, I don't know what they did, but there's cement and then there's bricks. Right where the two meet, in the winter, it raises up about 2 or 3 inches. Again, you got wheelchairs.
Yeah.
People who are in walkers can trip. They don't care. They don't put up cones. They don't put any notification other than freeze warnings. What the hell does that mean? Yeah, it's cold outside. You got freeze warnings. Management in there, they're not there half of the time. And I think if I heard right, again, this could be rumors, that the town of Auburn or maybe the state provides some funding to Penrose. I don't know. But to maintain the buildings, they get some money. Half the time they're not there. 3/4 of the time not there because they're understaffed. They've had 9 different maintenance men that quit. They work, several of them work 2 days, quit. Something's going wrong there. Either is it the management, and I tell you, the director or head manager, whoever his name is, Robert, I can't remember his last name. I met with him. First time he came in as the director, he had a big meeting, and he said, we're going to fix all these problems. Please list all your grievances and problems. They did. They all signed this sheet, and Robert said, we're going to get them fixed, I promise you. 3 weeks later, we have another meeting. I said, I attended the meeting. I said, Robert, what's been done? We don't know. There's no communication. Nothing. We don't know. Did you fix it? Did you fix that? And it was individual rooms that people were complaining about. I can't open my window. I can't open the door. The community center that all of them congregate in because they can't have air conditioning, and they have air conditioning there. The daughter goes outside, had benches out there, they want to sit out there. For the longest time, you had to prop the door open. Because if you went out there and locked behind, you couldn't get back into the building. There's several entrances like that. They finally fixed that one, just, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 months ago. But that building's been there, what, 3 years, 3.5 years? And they're just fixing that now? And the fire department even complained about, you can't prop these doors open. So they got reprimanded, the residents, for propping the door open with a rock. The stoves. These stoves are supposed to be, I don't know, senior quality, whatever it is. They have black tops on them. They don't heat up very fast. But you can't tell they're on. There's no indicator lights. And once they heat up, you turn them off. You don't know if they're on or off until you touch it and you burn your ass off, or you put something on and you forget that you cooked something, you burn it. Now, to me, again, I was a fireman for 13, 15 years. That's a hazard waiting to happen. I mean, what the hell, it's a little Tinker Toy ovens with a light bulb. They work better than those ovens do and stoves do. There was another guy on the third floor, no legs, in a wheelchair. He was there for about 2 years. Never complained. His name was Tony, and I was talking to him. I said, Tony, what the hell, you're sweating your butt off? Oh, my air conditioner's not working. I went out and bought him a fan. 2 months, he never had air conditioning. He was shirt off, sweating his ass off. He just died the other day. He was living in Penrose. They took him out of there in an ambulance. He never came back. He died. Now, was it the heat? Was it the air conditioner? I don't know. But somebody in this town, I don't know who to go to. Is it human resources? Is it abuse of the senior citizens? Something needs to be done.
Our town manager would like to say something here, too.
Yes, please do.
If I can, thank you for coming tonight. I've been working closely with Senator Moore's office and also our health department on some of the issues and complaints that have come our way regarding JB. As of last Thursday, we didn't have any complaints about Mary D. But what I can ask you to please do is, if you have anyone that lives there that has any complaints, to please go to my health department, the Town of Auburn Health Department, because we take this very seriously. We're also scheduled to meet with Penrose management. I agree with you, there are some management issues over there in regards to hiring staff and things like that, but you do have a place to go. They do, the people that live there.
See, they're afraid. They are actually afraid. I talked to them today. I talked to a few of them. They're afraid because they've seen people being evicted. There's a woman being evicted. She hasn't got a notice yet because she called up at the 104 and she was on the puff. And she said, listen, if my daughter talked to me that way, I'd slap her. She took it as a threat. I said, no, he wasn't threatening her. You said if my daughter talked to me that way, she said, well, they're going to evict me. And I can give you her name if she wants me to, but I don't want to unless she says give it. But I appreciate, but it was the same thing with the manager, the director that came in. Promises, promises, promises. Weeks, months, years go by. Nothing gets done. And nobody knows what's happening. Nothing. People are walking in and out of there. Is anybody doing anything? But does anybody know anything? I saw a guy over by the reservoir out there with signs. He was on Facebook, and he was complaining he had signs out there. They're going to evict him. He said, but I'm not going down. I wish I knew his name. I would tell, come with me. He is adamant about how he's being treated. He wanted to move from the second floor to the first floor. And because he bitched about something that was going wrong, they said, no, you're not getting on the first floor. It's like a Gestapo there. It really, truly is.
I'm glad you are bringing these concerns up because, like I said, our town manager has a meeting scheduled already, and she can follow through with that.
Is anybody from that building going to be in that meeting, or is it just management? And
At this
I
point,
mean, I'd like to go to the meeting.
yeah, I think that they're going to try to find out what they can do.
Madam
Yes,
Chair,
yes.
if I may.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming
Yeah.
and bringing this to our attention. I remember last year, before the summertime and then also in the wintertime, those same sort of complaints were on social media, and we had asked at the time that town administration follow up with Penrose and with the residents and follow through both the health department staff as well as inspectional services and other DDIS departments. And we had asked that not only do that one meeting, but go back, make sure they are actually implementing the promises that were made at that meeting. Can I just ask for, I'm glad to hear that town administration is following up on this and staying on top of it. Madam Chair, if I may, if it makes sense, is there an opportunity to get a report back to the board on the things that have occurred, the meetings that have taken place, and the steps the town is taking to protect these residents? Most of them, I think all of them who are senior residents, several of them are low-income residents, sort of the most vulnerable in our populations that I want to make sure that we're doing everything within our power, knowing that it is a private developer, private building, but there are certain levers we can pull when it comes to building codes and inspectional services and fire compliance and law enforcement, public safety compliance, and make sure that we're doing everything we can. So if it's possible to, at a future meeting, to get a detailed report back and put that on the agenda so that we can discuss it, I'd appreciate that.
I mean, it's almost like senior abuse. It really is. It's not only fire issues, it's not safety issues, it's senior abuse, senior citizen abuse.
And I would say if there are any veterans having problems, we have a veterans agent in town that could hopefully give them some assistance.
I'm sorry, what is
We
it?
have a veterans agent,
Investment?
a veterans agent, veterans agent. Okay, and the health department is here to talk to you when you leave. When you're done. A representative is here tonight.
But this report that you're going to generate, somehow will the residents get to see it, know what's going on? Because they've had these complaints and issues for years.
Yep.
And nobody knows.
If I can, we work very closely with the residents. In the past few weeks, we've worked very closely with them. We've followed up on their complaints. We've worked with Penrose. The majority of the issues that came to our attention were resolved. It sounds like there's a lot more that isn't getting to us, so it's important that those do get to us. Even if it's anonymous, at least if we know if there's a unit number or if there's something that we can look into to try to improve the living situation. Staff here in the health department go out same day, especially in situations where it's heat or air conditioning. It's very, very important.
I'll own myself as a spokesperson for them. If they're afraid to report, I'll do a report myself of what's going on and submit it. Or if you have a meeting, I'd be glad to go to the meeting and sit there. I'm not a volatile guy. I've been in the engineering business for 41 years, so I know how to conduct myself. I'm just very frustrated because I see what's going on, and it's just not right. I'm a veteran, I'm a senior citizen, and I just hate to see what's going on, that I see going on, and it's all about money. It's greed and money. Penrose is making a lot of money. You screw up, you're out of here, we'll get somebody else in.
Yeah, I just wanted to, Ms. McCracken, I think, the best thing right now, the next step, is in the back of our room, our staff from our health department is actually here as a result of your speaking and the town manager asking them to come in. So probably the best thing is for you to share with them more details so that they can get that extra information that they might not be privy to. So for that meeting, they now have that information and they can take steps right now to rectify this. Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Madam Chair, I'm going to make a motion that we move up item 9A, followed by item 8, C, and D.
Okay.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. All right, so we are now looking at town manager items number 8. Our board is going to vote to approve the town manager appointment of R. Scott Mills to police chief starting July 15th, 2025.
Thank you. I am pleased to say, and actually to ask the board to approve my appointment of Scott Mills for police chief starting July 15th, 2025. The deputy chief has participated in an assessment center that was offered last year through a process that would allow all the lieutenants in the department and the deputy chief to participate in which he did. And he is the top candidate and the person that is best suited for this position in my eyes. I've worked with him for the past few years and am proud to say that he is the perfect choice for the town of Auburn moving forward. I negotiated a contract with him. For your information, I know some of you wanted to see it, but more than anything else, I am seeking your approval of my appointment.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions?
So, no surprise, I'm sure that I do have a couple questions. One, I want to thank you for putting Deputy Chief Mills forward. I am a strong supporter of this appointment. And some of the questions I have are more related to the fact that this is probably the first department head appointment that's come before this board, so completely unrelated to you, Deputy Chief. But, you know, and when I look at your experience over the last 32 years, if I have my math correctly, you are vastly overqualified for this position, in my opinion. You have experience in every single aspect of law enforcement, from patrol to, you know, to overseeing administrative, to social media, overseeing the social media. So it's a very wide and deep level of experience that very impressive. I don't like to play the gotcha game. When there's questions that I'm going to ask, I let people know ahead of time, and I'd let the deputy chief know about these two questions that I had with respect to sort of his approach that he'll implement as chief, assuming we all vote to approve. And the first one is, can you speak to your understanding and commitment to state law when it comes to interactions in support of ICE and other federal law enforcement, immigration enforcement operations by local law enforcement? And the reason why I ask this question is because obviously this is a hot button topic throughout the state right now, and particularly in central Massachusetts. And given your experience managing the social media for the Auburn PD, I'm sure you see posts online of concerns about that residents have with respect to local law enforcement. So if you can just speak to that, that'd be great.
Absolutely. I appreciate the time from the board. Clearly appreciate what, the town manager with the appointment. And as you said, it is a topical situation or a topical thing. As it applies to immigration enforcement on the state level, for municipal police officers, there's clear guidance that we've received from the Mass Chiefs, and we've shared that with all of our officers in that. There's a case, I believe it's Commonwealth versus Lunn. So most of those immigration situations they're civil detainers, and we're not allowed by state law. We don't have the authority to get involved in any kind of civil or service of civil process. The only exception would be if there was a signed federal warrant, and it would be no different dealing with ICE than it would be with the DEA, ATF, FBI. If they have a signed criminal warrant, usually that would presuppose some sort of trafficking or some sort of larger criminal offense that would generate that warrant. But the only thing we would do as it applies to any ICE detainer or anything like that is, we wouldn't hinder them by any stretch, but by the same token, we would make sure that one of our main responsibilities is to keep the peace and maintain the peace. So we would make sure that they were safe, and if a disturbance resulted as a result of their, action in this civil detainer situation, then we would do everything we could to restore the peace. And again, I know there was an incident in the city of Worcester, not far over the line from the town line, and that was a situation more where people that got involved, there were other things at play, but essentially it was a disturbing the peace situation, and then it turned into assaults on police officers. So now you're dealing with a whole different level of criminality, or a state level criminal charge. So, but the short answer is we would not get involved in civil detainers, and we're not authorized to do so under state law anyways.
Perfect, thank you. The other question that I'd sent earlier was, can you speak to your thoughts on and commitment to community policing and sort of the nuts and bolts operations of local law enforcement, like traffic safety, community service, school resource officers, et cetera?
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate that. Going back to even the 1800s, Sir Robert Peel, right, invented or fathered, I guess you could say, community policing. And then it was something that was spoken to or alluded to over the last several hundred years, I guess, or a couple hundred years. And under President Obama's administration, there was a 21st century report establishing like the 6 pillars for law enforcement. So essentially just what the correct building blocks are. And, you know, Robert Peel said that the police are the public and the public are the police. So in essence, what that speaks to really is just like a synergy, right? A synergy between the police and the public. And you obviously want to be good citizens within the public, and police work is a service industry. And sometimes people get excited, or, you know, they sign up and they think, oh, it's cops and robbers, or it's you know, adrenaline rush. And it can be some of that, but essentially day to day, it's a service-based industry, and you're providing services to people that need them. And as it pertains to this community, I mean, our main charge, besides maintaining the peace, is, you know, enforcement of the law, right? And law enforcement, and the safety and well-being of everyone that lives in the town, visits the town, has a business in town. And we want to make sure that those things are at the top of our list. And you know, the partnership with the community, you referenced, you know, that I had started our social media accounts in 2015, I think it was. And I've now turned it over to 2 lieutenants, and they do a much better job than I ever envisioned, and it's actually at the point where I kind of hoped it would get to. But that's important, those community interactions, and knowing what's on the community's, you know, list of important items. And you mentioned, you know, traffic enforcement or school safety. And the priorities that we have had over the last several years, 3.5 years under this chief, and, you know, under the outgoing chief and myself, you know, we've prioritized traffic enforcement because day to day, it is the #1 most spoken about and complained about thing that we receive the most email about, you know, or comments on any of our social media platforms. Traffic enforcement, you know, obviously school safety. We doubled the amount of school resource officers that we had. We had none when we started in 2022 together, and we have 2 now. And they're divided amongst the school, you know, each have their own responsibility areas within the schools. And, you know, there's no, in my opinion, there's no better commitment that you can make to the community than, you know, not only are you reinforcing those relationships, or, you know, hopefully exposing younger people to police work, and you know, showing that we're just regular people, and it's good to have those you know, those interactions. And in my opinion, the SROs do an excellent job of that, and the relationship we have with the school administration, whether it's Dr. Chamberlain, and I anticipate with the new superintendent, you know, we'll do the same and do outreach and make sure that we're, you know, improving that relationship as much as we possibly can. But, you know, I believe at one point, you know, the chief had said that, you know, protecting your most valuable resources, I mean, it's everyone's responsibility to make sure our kids are safe in schools, and it falls on all the patrol officers and the sergeants and lieutenants, and we make sure that that's a priority, and we make sure the buses are safe. It's pretty comprehensive. You know, and then beyond the school safety, beyond traffic, for us, another priority is, you know, investigations. And you saw from my resume that I was a detective from 1998 to 2002, and then I went back as a supervisor from 13 to 22. And you know, and we hope that you're not, because we hopefully with the way patrol is allocated and the way that the guys are out, the officers are out working, you know, we hope no one's victimized. You know, I would love to have a crime-free community, if at all possible. I don't know how realistic that is, but if that, you know, if that was attainable, then absolutely, that's what we're striving for, right? But if you are victimized, whether, you know, personally or as a business, we're going to do everything we can to investigate that crime, and we're going to be as tenacious as we possibly can. We're going to exercise, you know, every available resource, and, you know, we're going to share that information. And there's video surveillance and video, you know, images everywhere. So our detectives are doing an excellent job currently, and I expect that will continue. And, you know, they're, again, properly led, properly resourced, and properly supported. So we're going to get excellent results. And I don't believe that would change. And that would be another point of emphasis, is to make sure that any crime that is reported is thoroughly investigated and, with any luck, solved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just have one other question. That this question, I apologize, did not send in advance. Is Spurred by a discussion I was had coming up in the elevator. One of the great things I think that Chief Lemon did was put in a succession plan and make sure that the next level of leadership was well trained to move up in the ranks. And can you speak to the approach you'll have as chief, that not just for the lieutenants, but also the sergeants, but also for the rank and file officers, to make sure that they have opportunities for training, for career development, but also well equipped to be safe and keep the public safe, but also set them up for success, whether it's in Auburn or another community, for future career growth?
It's a great question. The emphasis on true career development is something that, it's a personal thing to me. It was never really codified at any point. If you want to become a detective, what do you need to do? What classes do you need to take, and how much time on the job, and those kind of things. So one of my initial hopes within the first 90 days is to sit down with every police officer we have, brand new or experienced, and just talk to them about where do they, where are you now? I know where you are now, but where do you want to be? And, what aspirations do you have? Do you want to pursue a specialty, bless you, do you want to pursue a specialty type assignment, whether it's school resource or traffic or investigations or similar court, something like that? Or do you want to pursue like a promotional track where you move your way up through the ranks through sergeant, lieutenant, and, hopefully deputy chief at some point, maybe even chief? So I think that's important, to sit down and just talk to people. I mean, we're not so big that you can't, have a conversation with, anyone that works here. And I know later on that Officer Walker's on the agenda for our summer send-off, formerly known as National Night Out, but we moved it. And those kind of events are super important. And every police officer has their own niche. And, Officer Walker and his team have done an amazing job setting up that event specifically. But again, find out what is important to each person. Find out where they want to be. Not promising anything and not saying that definitively you'll go this way, but here's the path that you can pursue. So regardless if you end up attaining that position or not, during the course of becoming ready for that, you've gone to X amount of training or certain specific training. You're only going to be a better police officer and a better, provide better service to the community. So career development is immensely important, because if you don't think you have a future, or, I'm just going to answer this call and that call for the rest of my 20, 30 years, then, it doesn't give you any real hope. So that's definitely something that I want to dig down on and emphasize for sure.
Thank you very much for those great answers, and certainly solidified my deep support for you as the next chief.
Sir.
Anyone else?
So not really a question. I know we've had some conversations, and we're fortunate enough that you're in the community, and your resume, if you were outside, would be someone I think this board would take a real good look at. So we're happy that you're here. Hopefully the board will vote in favor. But I think your last question kind of answered it. We really want to make sure that growth continues, and we are supporting the officers and the rest of the staff that you have here. And I'm confident your history will help them grow as well, knowing how wide and deep your background goes will help almost every person in the department, which is not always seen. The administrative piece is something that not everyone can do, and we understand that you have that history. So I am happy to support you, so thank you.
As I mentioned, as I mentioned to you earlier, I'm definitely a student of leadership. I attended FBI leader classes. There was a series of one-week courses over 3 different courses, and I kind of got bit by the bug and became a student of it, really did some extensive reading. And as I was saying to Mr. Chambers earlier, the whole goal of any leader obviously is to create a group or a team that outruns you, that more or less makes you irrelevant, and create leaders greater than yourself and have them strive, for more than what you have accomplished or can accomplish, and be open to the ideas. And there's nothing saying that the newest patrol officer can't come up with an idea that's absolutely worthy of, implementing and sharing. And we have a lot of bright, talented, forward-thinking people, so why not why not use those people, and use what they have and make the whole organization better? So,
Madam Chair, I'm going to make a motion that we confirm the town manager's appointment of...
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to confirm the appointment of Deputy Chief Mills to Police Chief starting July 15, 2025. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All
thank you, I
set?
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is item 8C. This is the board vote on the outdoor entertainment license for Auburn Police Association Summer Send-Off Event. I hear Officer Walker is here. Come on up.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi,
Oh, absolutely.
please, yeah.
Thank you. So I'm here just to present, I know Chief Mills now. Chief mentioned it briefly just regarding, we kind of rebranded from National Night Out to Summer Send-Off. So it's very similar to last year. The whole idea of Summer Send-Off is just a big community partnership event. It's free to the community. We're going to have bounce houses, touch-a-trucks, dunk tanks. We're going to have different vendors there, different booths set up. We're going to have canine demonstrations. The drone unit, mobile command unit from the Worcester County Sheriff's Office is going to be there. So it's a really big community event. Let the community come out, see what we do, offer some services. We're going to have different preschools there as well, holding some different games and whatnot for children. And the only thing that ends up costing money is just the food trucks if people are interested in food. That was the only thing that ends up getting a cost to it. So, but other than that, it's a completely free community event. We just wanted to present it to you guys. And
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Questions?
Not a question, but more of a statement. I've enjoyed it. The last couple of years you guys have done it, and I like the continued growth and definitely support this.
thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to give kudos to you and your team for putting this together. I think this is a great community event, a great way to do that community service that we were just talking about, and have police interact and law enforcement personnel interact on a very personal level with the community outside of law enforcement action, and,
Yes.
and have everybody understand that everyone are people. We're all members of the community, and this is a great event. So thank you for putting this together.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Questions?
Unless there's public comments, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Are there any public comments regarding this license? The event? No. Okay.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the license, subject to our usual verbiage.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No, we're all
I
set.
do have one question.
Yep.
Do we need to vote to waive the fee, or because it's a town organization, is it already waived? If not, I'll
think
just
we
make a
should.
motion that we waive the fee because it's
Yep.
a charitable organization.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of waiving the fee, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No, we're all set.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda is item 8D. The board is going to vote on an outdoor entertainment license for Impact Fitness Summer Block Party. Is there someone here from Impact Fitness? Yes. Great, come on up, please. Hi. Can you tell us about your event?
Yes, so we're going to be hosting a community event, completely free for all the vendors there, members there, and guests. It's just like a summer event to kind of kick off summer, to help embrace and talk about fitness and other local companies in Auburn or the fitness industry to kind of come together and just have like a fun family event for people to come get to, communities to outreach together. We have a couple of food vendors that are going to be there. That's free for all the guests and members. We have like some fitness competitions. We have like the Marines coming down. We have a couple of local companies from Auburn, some realtors, people that do like a lot of beauty and makeup. as well too, with some supplement companies that'll be there, just kind of showcasing off their products and talk about like health and wellness and the importance of it. We'll have stuff for we have like a childcare inside our facility as well too, so we'll have open free day for parents to come and drop their kids off while they're at the event. Just so they get experience of what, fitness is and health and important, and just a little fun summer barbecue.
All right, thank you. What date is the event and the time?
July 12th,
July 12th,
so it's coming soon. It's going to go from 10 a.m. to about 4 p.m.
10 to 4. Thank you. Any questions?
Could you explain where the people will be parking? I know parking in that business is a challenge.
It's a little bit challenging. It's a good problem to have, but it's a little challenging. So so we did a event earlier on, pretty similar, where we kind of closed off our lower lot and then used the Auburn PD with the police officer to help people who would kind of park across the street. Usually the businesses across the street aren't open on the weekend, so sometimes people will park there. Even evening time overflows, but on the weekends they'll park there, and there'll be a police officer on the Millbury Street to help them cross. Upper parking lot will still remain open, and so will our side lot still remain open as well too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Just a comment, I just, again, want to thank you, similar to the previous event, for, running this great community event. It's an opportunity, I think, to showcase local businesses, local organizations, so thank you for organizing this.
Awesome, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Can't go wrong with the Marines.
Was 12 years Army, but that's okay. I brought crayons.
But you bring it in the Marines, so you learn.
All right. Do I hear a motion?
We need to ask if there's any public comment.
Oh, are there any public comments regarding this event? Or this approval? No? Okay.
There being none, I'll make a motion that we approve the license subject to our usual verbiage.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. We're all set. Thank you very much.
I also brought the receipts for the certified mail. Awesome. Thank you. You guys have a great
very much.
evening.
Have a good night. Was that Andrew Lawton? Was that him?
I'm not sure who it is.
I'll find out later. All right, back to our agenda. So we moved some few things up. Let's go back to the top of it. Any community organizations, we have nothing under that item. Presentations and public hearings, no. Departmental items, none. Communications, none. So let's go to Select Board general items. Gift acceptances. We've received a gift of $10. The fire department has received a gift of $10 from Richard Casey.
I'm sure I'd make a motion that we accept this donation with gratitude.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. All right. Now we're going to look at item 8E, which is a board vote on gas registration changes for 888 Southbridge Street.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the change as outlined by the town clerk's email.
Second.
Any public comments, any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. All right, now we're going to look at item 8F, discussion and possible board vote to approve proclamations.
Address change before that.
Oh, I beg your pardon. All right, so under 8E, we approved the name change, and there's a request to approve change their address to 500 Turnpike Street in Canton, 02021.
Madam Chair, I will make a motion that we approve that based on the town clerk's email to us.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, that's passed. Now we're looking at discussion and possible board vote to approve proclamations for the Town of Auburn retirees.
So, I don't know if you want me to...
Sure. If I could speak to this one.
Yep.
There are times that we have town employees that retire, and typically the board would request a proclamation, and the timing doesn't always work out with the board meetings. So I was wondering if the board would vote to do a proclamation for Auburn, Town of Auburn retirees, and then, so that it can be done and signed at their next meeting, so that it isn't held up for, because we just ran into this now, and that way we're able to plan ahead and get the proclamation done ahead of time.
I understand. Thank you. Questions?
Not a question, just a, comment of support. So I had brought this up via email specifically for Chief Lemon, who was retiring, and, this may be because I myself am a public employee for a different municipality, but I've always felt that there's a certain level of employees that, whether they start the career or they enter halfway through the career, when they're retiring from a community, they're part of that community. They have dedicated their life to that community, whether they live there or not, building the community. They're as much of a part of the community as someone who lives in the town. And I think that it's important for us as the board to provide recognition of those employees and to thank them as they are retiring. And we can't obviously go back to every employee who is retired recently, but I think moving forward, it'd be a good thing for this board to take a minute and recognize employees who are retiring from the town of Auburn. Obviously, as the town manager said, there's always an issue sometimes with timing, especially during the summer months where we only meet once a month. The person could be long retired and on the Cape or off to Florida before we meet to do a proclamation. So I'd like to see some sort of system put in place where a proclamation can be drafted upon their announcement of retirement and signed by us, maybe at the same meeting where we're approving it, instead of 2 or 3 meetings later on after we ask for a proclamation, one is written and then we sign it. And that would allow the town manager or somebody from the board to be invited to present at the retirement party for that employee. And I'm not talking about any time an employee leaves. I'm talking specifically when an employee retires from the town. Thank you.
We specifically have a policy around these things, so that would need to be amended. I certainly don't have an issue with it. I will say that there have been times where employees have retired and they have specifically asked not to be recognized. So whatever we do, I think we have to ask first, does the employee want recognition, whether it's at a meeting here or to be called up at an event? Some people don't enjoy that, don't want that, so I would happily say if you want to propose some language to amend how we issue proclamations, I'm happy to look at it and vote on it at an appropriate time. Right now, we have one proclamation for the Chief Lemon, which I am happy to motion that we issue a proclamation to Chief Lemon. Happy to do that.
Since that's a motion, I'll happily second it. And I'm more than happy to work with the town manager on language for our August meeting, or actually for whatever meeting the chair wants to bring it forward, to look at redoing that policy to make this possible.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the proclamation for Chief Lemon, who is retiring very soon. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. And Todd, you'll work with Dory on that language for the proclamation. Okay? Thank you. All right, looking back at our agenda, our next item is item G, discussion regarding town manager goals and objectives.
I certainly have several, but I whittled it down to one. Well, one with many prongs, I guess I'll call it. So when Mrs. Jacobson was town manager, we had a Citizens Academy, which anybody 18 or above could sign up for, and they could learn about the town. It was very well attended, and most applicants that I heard from, or most students, I took it as a board member and went through it and found I learned a lot from it too. So I'd like to see that restarted with a slight caveat, which is I would like to see us try to build in some sort of academy voluntary for students who would, obviously sign up and attend a certain number of classes or lectures. I think that would be beneficial, seeing that this was always geared because you do go to the town buildings and there are equipment there that younger people shouldn't be around. Some of us my age shouldn't be around either, but the law says if you're under 18, you shouldn't be. So obviously it would have to be modified. And I know we have a new superintendent coming on board within 12 months, so I understand that that can complicate this, but I would like to see us, or the town manager, work on that, if that's something that the board would agree to set as a goal.
Thank you. Next.
Yeah, I don't know how to necessarily put it into words, but I know during the interview process, there was a lot talked about planning and business development and growth in there. So certainly want to have a plan of action by the end of the year. Obviously, it won't be fully implemented. And I think with that comes discussion around how the planning organization will be reorganized or developed, and I don't want to, I say reorganized, but I'm not saying that has to be the decision, but the appropriate positions are filled and the growth and plan is defined, I guess, by the end of the year. So I'd like to see something on that. The other thing, and I'm not sure if there's unintended consequences with this ask, but I'd like to be able to see what our obligated spend is and what our quote-unquote discretionary spend is. I know we always hear it's very little. I just want to be able to have that conversation when people say that we spend too much. We are obligated to spend in certain areas, and I just want to make sure that any discussion around, we do pay a lot, but they go for services that we've asked for. So I want to be able to show like what that number is, and I don't know if it's 3%. It's always jumbled in there, but there isn't a lot. So I'd like to have some sort of format where we can say this is really all we can affect at this point, short of changing union contracts, stopping spending in certain areas that, again, the community is asking for. And then we can have deeper discussions about should we continue to fund certain things going forward. So I'd like something in there, but again, I don't know if there's unintended consequences in there. I know a lot of times we have some money set aside for negotiations that we don't necessarily want to call out.
Thank you. I understand. Well, that's something that can be looked at and worked on. Anyone else? Yes, Todd.
Oh, no, it's good to know Sarah.
Oh, no, I'm good, thank you.
So I have, similar to Mr. Chambers, economic development is obviously number one. Well, number one of three, but they're all actually number one, so I can't really say that. But, making sure that we have a plan by the end of the year, I like that with respect to beefing up our economic development and our support of our planning and zoning regulatory boards, but also an active part by the town administration to go out, identify parcels that are primed for development, find companies or developers who are willing to develop them, to bring them in and spur that new growth, so that we can then give the relief to taxpayers that new growth brings in. So that's sort of a key thing. The other two, I think we'd have to tease out more, but sort of on a higher level. The first is, and I know I've said this for the past 2 years, transparency is a buzzword for a lot of people, but it is important to me, especially when it relates to communicating back to the residents through our website. And I know there have been some changes made and some improvements, but our website and the way we communicate with residents, whether it's through mailings or social media, I think that still is something we struggle with to do consistently across all departments. And to, I'd really like to see us focus on updating our website more consistently, and making sure that the information is there for the residents for what they may need. Some of our website is updated, other portions are not. So if you go into the, I forget exactly what they call it, the transparency budget portal, I forget the exact name, it's all very old information. There is nothing in there that is related to FY26, FY25. And, you know, so it's something that at some point we made a commitment that we were going to have an open budget, you know, process where we communicate to the residents all of the spending and CIP projects, et cetera, and then it just stopped. And it just, it's not only not a good look for us to stop communicating that, but also to leave the old information up and to, it's not a very good look that we're just like, you know, we started this, we don't think it's important anymore, and, you know, as a resident, when you go there and you look and you see something from 2020 or 2021, that sort of communicates that the town doesn't think that they are accountable to the residents. And that goes into the second thing that I think I would have to tease out, how you would actually quantify this and achieve these goals, but customer service. You know, working in retail before I went into public, service, you know, a large part of the job of any public servant is you work for the public, and there should be a strong customer service aspect. When residents call up, they should get, you know, callbacks. When they email concerns, there should be a response. And even if it's a, I don't know, let me get back to you, but then you have to actually get back to them. And I don't, you know, I can't speak for everybody up here, but I know I get questions via email and social media and phone calls of saying, you know, residents have called into this department asking about a problem and aren't getting a response back. And they only get a response back when one of us elevates it to the town manager, who then pushes it down to the department head, and suddenly there's an action back. And I'm not saying it's, you know, all public employees, I'm not saying it's all departments, but it's large enough that I think that there needs to be a strong focus on, you know, this is a new opportunity with a new town manager, a relatively new board, to do a reset on customer service and making sure that residents are receiving appropriate and timely responses from the citizens who they serve.
Okay, anyone else? Would you like them, these requests be in writing sent to you? Or are you okay with this?
I'm okay with what I
Okay.
have. I
All
have
right.
the notes. If the
Okay.
board wants to put them in writing, that's fine, but I have them.
Okay, thank you. So, I don't think we can talk about this in 2 weeks, because our agenda in 2 weeks is probably, well, we'll see. Maybe we'll have some time to discuss it in 2 weeks. I'm not sure, because I know we have that hearing, too, at 7:30. So I'm not sure what else is going to happen between 6:30 and 7:30. But if you want to write those up, please. And then you just get those to us, and we could make sure we review them, make any adjustments or changes. So maybe we could wrap it up in 2 weeks. Okay? Questions?
It's more of a statement. Again, I think, as Mr. Crane said, it's hard to quantify certain things. I want to leave the room that you can have creative ideas on that, but still understand that we're working towards a long-term goal for that transparency. And again, Mr. Crane's solution, or the way he would grade it, might be different than what the rest of us would see, but to me, it's about setting the objective of, by the end of the year, we'll have something in place, whether it's a metric or a process that shows that we've improved. Or I know, like I see on social media from the police or the fire department, calls logged, this is how many we've done, you know, the amount of transactions. I know we've had other department heads come before us and say we've serviced 500 this. I know the DPW says they have 120 miles of road. Like, so any type of numbers there which would help quantify it. Again, it might not be the best answer, but we're starting from scratch, and we're trying to have that accountability and transparency.
And for me, in 2 weeks, I'd like to hear from the town manager what she thinks is achievable, anything that stands out for her, that she, as she's building an assistant town manager position, There are new department or division heads being named, as we know. We now have a new police chief. You know, this has always been treated as a negotiation, a discussion. It's not,
Right.
we say, this is what you do. It's really supposed to be some give and take. And I like all of them, but realistically, we can't achieve all of them. But if board members prefer certain ones over others, and then next year is a whole other year that we can, you know, flesh out ideas, see where we're at. Because again, the manager is barely taken over, so to saddle that individual with great change is kind of a difficult thing for any leader to accomplish. So I would just say we want to be very careful as to what we ask the manager to work on. But I think they're all great ideas, and I think we should pick 2 or 3. If there are some that are more involved, then maybe this year we go with 2. I mean, it's, you know.
Okay.
I see
Yes.
the town manager's face. I think she's like challenge accepted. So we'd love to hear from you in a few weeks on what is feasible and achievable. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Oh, no, we have minutes. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about the minutes from these 3 dates?
So, Madam Chair, I did talk to Ms. Chamberlain Roberts earlier. There were a couple of dates that she made corrections to on the April 3rd minutes.
Yep.
And I'm going to ask the board's forbearance because I did not get through all 3, but the last, April 14th, if we can carry that over to the next meeting.
Okay, so does anyone have any questions or concerns right now about the minutes from March 31st, 2025 and April 3rd, 2025? No questions? Okay, they're accepted as presented, and we'll look at the April 14th minutes in 2 weeks.
If we can just have those corrections noted for the record.
Okay, anything else?
At some point, I would like us to discuss having an open house for the town manager sometime in the fall, so that residents have an opportunity to meet her and put a face to a name and perhaps share their thoughts with her. I don't know if next meeting is the best meeting, if we can do it for August the 1st, or what, well, it's not even the first
So-
one in August.
I would actually, I think it's better to hold off until September for that, only
Yeah.
because there are people who are going on vacations.
No, what I'm
Those
saying
types
is
of-
for us to
Discuss.
vote to
Okay.
do it.
Oh.
To have a discussion, not to, no, I said fall. That was my
Do-
first thing.
Do we need to actually vote to have an open house?
Well,
or-
we got to expend money and things of that nature.
I don't think we need to vote. I don't think it's something,
I would
but
like
it's
us
something.
to do a vote so that we set a precedent, so future boards see how it's done, shall we say.
May
Right.
may I ask the status of the 40B training? I know we were getting that scheduled. Has that been scheduled, and have people been notified?
So that's a very good question. We were not able to get Judy Barrett to come for the 21st. We're working to try to get someone from her, from the state to come in her place for the 21st. So hopefully we'll have that in place, but we are still working on it. She wasn't able to come, and it's not funded through a grant, which isn't a problem. It's only funded through the grant once it goes in front of the ZBA.
All right, more to come. Thank you.
Thank you. All right,
Motion to adjourn, Madam Chair?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.